And I was that person too, because you have this, there's this universal idea that you're supposed to be able to not have thoughts, but that's not meditation. Meditation is actually sitting still. And I loved this. Like, if your mind is super turbulent when you're meditating, you are meditating, because what you're allowing is a digestion of your thoughts. It's like an off gassing. So you
Love
don't think,
that.
oh, it's not working, so I'm just not going to do it. No, you need it more. And that was me when I started. And so when I knew that, I was like, I wasn't beating myself up for not having those, that peaceful kind of
I love
idea.
this. I've never thought of, yeah, meditation, and if our mind's spinning or we're sitting down to digest some, maybe pausing before reacting to some upsetting news we got, that if we take that pause and let the thoughts digest and
It's totally
drain, as you say, drain. I like that word, drain. Let the
100%.
thoughts drain
And
out.
I had another Ayurvedic teacher, and I loved this. I can't remember if I said that the last time we talked, but so the mind has different levels. Like, we're conscious that we're talking, but, that's a very small part of our mind. The bigger part that kind of runs us is, referred to as the subconscious mind. And then there's even another part that's even deeper, that is like totally unconscious. So most of us, have our wiring. So in today's world, we'll call that neuroplasticity. In the Vedic tradition, those were called samskaras, grooves in the mind, same thing. So, and that's what they said. It's like, I can talk to you and I can think about like doing something different, but in my life, I'm not as aware of what those grooves are that are running me. And so when you are actually meditating, it's like you can carve out a new groove. So in today's language, it would be, you can actually change your neuroplasticity. But here's what this guy said, that, and this is the kind of language that I understand. He said, when you're if you're not meditating, like you're living your life, and then, stress happens. We all have, some level of stress. And he said, what happens is the mind must have a release. And he kind of like talked about like even a pressure cooker, like, you know, it's got to release, at some point. And he said, what happens when we don't have a proper practice for our mind, like a digestion or a drainage for our mind, we'll do something. And that can be overeating, that can be over drinking, that can be porn, and
Oh,
he said,
I also think our mind will shut down on its own, which we call dementia and Alzheimer's. I
yeah.
believe that
And
mind
so
will just shut down
it's,
and
it's like a pressure.
short
And
circuit.
and if you're not releasing it in a healthy way, what he says is like, sure, those things work like in a minute, the other things I was talking about, but then you're worse. Okay. So when you're actually allowing yourself to sit with uncomfortable thoughts or sit with a turbulent mind, it actually is rewiring. And I'll speak personally from this, because when I started, my whole, like learning about meditation, practicing, and then teaching, it's like, this was drilled in, and it was good too. Like, you don't feel the effects actually in the meditation. It shows up afterwards. And so what that other guy was saying, he said, if you're not doing these practices, he said, what you're not dealing with in the conscious mind gets pushed down into the subconscious mind. And he said, and then you might just be choosing bad ways to release it. And then if that's not digested, when he said, you're really in trouble when it goes into the unconscious mind, he said, that's where, pathology sets in. And
Mhm.
so, it really is looked at in Ayurveda as a very important part of your being to digest.